Hi, and thank you for watching The Forum. I'm your host, Ashley Tate, here with my co-host, Christy Largent, and our guests today are going to be talking about working with challenges and disabilities and how we work through those things. So our first guest is Pete Carr, and he is the co-founder of Challenger Little League in Chico. So it's so interesting because this is such a big thing now, and I want to find out how it all got started. So tell us what Challenger Little League actually is.
Well, in 2003, a friend of mine asked me if we could put together a baseball game that his 5-year-old son who had muscular dystrophy could participate in, since he couldn't be in regular baseball.
Yes.
So we put together a game, and we went to Far Northern Regional, which is connected to most of the families of children with disabilities, and so they helped us get the word out. We had 16 kids show up that first night. The next week we did it again just for fun, and there were 28 kids, and and this was in the fall. So then in the spring of 2004, we found out that there's actually a division of Little League nationwide called Challenger.
Oh my gosh!
We hooked up with that, and the program grew a life of its own.
Wow. So what do you do as the founder of this program? Like, how are you integral in that? And tell us a little bit about.
Well, actually, in that the very next season, we connected up with Kimberly Babb, a local real estate agent, and a friend of hers, and they have ever since taken care of all of the fundraising needs.
Oh. Wow!
And Kimberly does most of the coordination now. Now I'm a coach of a team.
Oh my gosh!
How many teams have you grown to?
You know, we probably have about 8 teams, I think.
Wow!
We've had as many as 104 kids in any season. Lately, we've had 60 or 70. It really depends on how successful we are at getting the word out.
Right, right. So who can be a part of your team? Who can be part of Challenger Baseball?
We have children from ages 5 to 22 of all levels of abilities and disabilities. We have kids that are in wheelchairs, blind, deaf, autistic. And we just lump them all together on the same teams, and
I think that's fantastic.
We have a great time.
Yes, it works.
So how is it set up that you? So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, finish your answer, and then I'll ask you how it's set up.
We operate it like T-ball does.
Okay.
So everybody plays every inning. Everybody bats every inning.
Yeah.
And everybody gets out on the field, and they're amazingly, it's a tie game every game.
And they don't mind one bit. Apparently.
They rarely even ask who won.
Oh,
they just have a great time.
Yeah.
That is so good. So how do you set it up so that, you know, if there's someone in a wheelchair or there's someone who's blind or deaf, and you know, I mean, it's hard coaching anything, and now you have these disabilities involved. So how do you coach all these kids? Do you have like a number of coaches?
You know, we are not focused on the skills and the technical rules of the game. We're focused on come on out and have a great time.
Okay.
So it's much more like a T-ball game than it is like a Major League Baseball game.
Right.
Most of the players are assigned a buddy.
Oh.
So they'll be one-on-one. So if they're in a wheelchair, they have somebody to push them around. If they have maybe attention issues, they have a buddy that's right there. And for the most part, those are teenagers.
Yes.
Like the NorCal Mavericks baseball team. And we have other, sometimes family members, sometimes just friends that will come and be buddies out on the field.
Oh, that's so it involves the community. Okay, I see. Okay, I'm getting it. I know nothing about baseball, so I'm trying to figure out all of it.
Right.
And you also said you didn't have a love or passion for baseball.
I'm not a big baseball guy, and neither was my friend Doug, who we started this together.
Yeah.
But we do love kids.
Yes. And
so when we're looking for coaches, we're not looking for who's taken their kids to the All-Stars and who's been a 20-year Little League coach. We're looking for who has a great sense of humor, a lot of patience, and just wants to have fun with these kids.
So how have you seen, that's been going, you said, since 04, so we're at, what, 12 years at this point.
Right.
How have you seen the participation in this program affect the children who play and the families who are involved?
You know, the parents tell me that their kids just love being on a team, that there are lots of programs for disability, for children with disability where they can participate in a sport, but to be on a team with a uniform and to be in Little League, that's a big deal for them. To be able to get that trophy at the end of the year, that's something they look forward to all year.
Is it boys and girls?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
it's so they all, there's no limitation.
No.
So did you, like with the Special Olympics that were just on, right? Did any of the groups get together and watch? Was there a baseball team in the Special Olympics?
Not that I know of.
I don't know.
mean, this is really, Little League kind of just does its own thing with this, and most of these kids are already involved in many other activities as well. This is just one of the things on their menu to choose from.
So how do people find out if a child does have disabilities and they want to get their child into a program like this? They're not sure maybe if the disability is too severe or whatever, and it sounds like nothing is too severe, so that's great. How do they get into this league? How do they even find out about it? And I don't mean it like a website. I'm saying, how would they?
Because we don't have an office, we don't have a staff.
Yeah, exactly.
So we almost like reorganize every February.
Oh, really?
And so it'll be on radio and television and newspaper that sign-ups are open.
And they're generally in February, is that correct?
That's right. That's when we do sign-ups, and then we'll start the games by the end of March. We follow the regular Little League season.
Oh, I love it. What a great program.
There's no cost to the families.
What?
So the insurance is taken care of, and the fields are taken care of by the local Little Leagues. And then there are generous sponsors in the area that contribute so that the uniforms and everything else is free.
Well, I just have to say, if you guys know anyone who has a child with disabilities and you are this is something I feel like you have to push and you have to share, because I've never heard of anything like this, but I really think it's something that's critical to to their self-esteem, to everything. I mean, good job. Good job.
It's an awful lot of fun.
Yeah.
And how can you become a coach?
Well, when we're doing sign-ups for the kids, we always have people stepping forward wanting to be coaches. So we usually have to select from among. We're not necessarily out recruiting for
so
it.
nice.
Great problem.
Yeah, too many volunteers.
Yeah, I don't think any nonprofits
So now
ever said
this
that.
is based in Chico, correct?
Yeah.
That's right, but we have players, their families bring them from Durham and Paradise, Oroville, Orland.
my God.
So we call it Chico Challengers, but it's certainly the whole region.
Yeah. So what if you're in the North State, in the Reading area? Do you know of any? Is there a program like this up here?
I would contact the Reading Little League, and they would know.
Yeah.
So you can always contact your Little League no matter where you are.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
There should be one.
Something else that we have to touch on at least is that you definitely have a heart for your community, and you are also the city manager of Orland. Is that correct?
That's right. So when you said my community, I wasn't sure which one you meant.
You got two.
I spend most of my time focused on Orland.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you do, even as a city manager, and how you have the time to coach. That's a lot, right?
As a city manager of a very small but full-service city, so I'm responsible for police and fire and streets and parks and sidewalks and water and sewer and the budget, but I have a terrific staff and a great city council, and we're really on a roll.
Okay.
Orland has really got a lot of great things going on right now, so that's a lot of fun too.
Now, what would be a reason to come visit Orland that we don't know about?
Well, in addition to being close to things like Thunder Hill Raceway and the Black Butte Lake, we have our own Orland Arts Center that's pretty amazing.
Really?
And while you're there, you want to stop in at some of our unique restaurants that we have people actually coming from all over the region to
Well, what
our
are some of your restaurants?
The Farwood Bar and Grill for several years now has been quite a draw, and right across the street from that is East Coast Foods. Both of those are one-off restaurants.
Oh, wow.
We also have, of course, Mexican and Chinese cuisine other places as well.
Oh, that's great. That's good. It's interesting that you say that, because we just stopped off in Williams at there's a Williams Chinese restaurant or something.
We eat there frequently.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, we have never eaten
Coming
there.
back and forth from San Francisco.
And my husband's like, let's try it out. And I'm like, oh,
we eat there a lot. My kids love it.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
It's excellent food, and I would have never guessed.
Well,
so
Orland is so close to Reading that it's not quite the I'm ready to stop yet point.
That's
so I
actually
guess we'll have to change that
Yes,
so we
we
can
will.
stop and enjoy your community.
We have a charming gift and flower shops and a terrific day spa. There's a lot of reasons to get off the freeway and
look, you knew what to say.
take a look.
Yeah, really. So say somebody was interested in getting involved in doing what you've done with the Challenger. What would you recommend for them? With the Challenger specifically?
Well, if there's already a Challenger League, then they ought to just volunteer and come out and see what they can do to help. Even if coaches aren't needed, we always need buddies.
Okay.
And that's probably the most fun thing. The closer you are to the real action, the more fun it is.
And how many, they run the same games as a regular Little League then? So that's a lot.
We play once a week on Friday nights.
Okay.
And you practice how often?
We don't.
What?
We show up early before the game. We learn how to throw the ball and catch, and
Oh my gosh. Oh,
And then we
that's
play.
T-ball. Think
it's
T-ball.
much more like
You know
T-ball.
what, you guys? I said I have no experience with baseball. My
Okay.
kids don't play.
Yeah.
I tried everything not to
Yeah.
talk about baseball in our home.
Okay.
It's a long game.
Yeah.
Usually,
These kids
you know?
are involved in many other things,
Yeah.
and school for them is usually
Yes.
very challenging. So we
Yeah.
try to minimize the impact on the family and just focus on the benefit parts.
And what do the families actually say about watching their kids or their loved ones play? What's
You know,
the
we
response?
encourage the families to sit in the stands
Yeah.
because they are so involved
Right.
all the time.
Gives them a
it
break.
gives them an opportunity once in a while to just sit and watch somebody else have fun helping their children. And so if we have enough helpers, that works really well. And
You guys
they,
really
they must
thought of
enjoy it because
everything.
these families keep coming back every year.
Yeah, yes.
So
it's
neat.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's exciting to hear about these kind of opportunities because like I remember when I was young, when my brothers played Little League,
Yeah.
there was never, and if you had had a disabled child, you were with a disability, you were kind of out of luck.
That's right.
You know, and this just opens whole new doors, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, and it's inspiring that you are doing something like this while being, you know, a pretty big job of city manager,
Yeah,
and yet you make time to really help in the community. It's really inspirational.
Oh, thank you. It's all a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for telling us about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been interested to know, and now we know.
Yeah.
And now we know how to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, do you have any other things that you'd like to say that maybe you've learned from, doing this coaching, or things that you've learned from seeing kids? Sometimes they teach you the biggest lessons.
Yeah, I've certainly learned a lot from the kids, their courage that they have, and it's very difficult sometimes for some of the kids, and to see them learn a new skill and have to overcome
Battle
the
through
challenges
that,
they
exactly,
have.
yeah.
I now have a grandson who has a disability, 6.5 years old, and now he's part of Challengers.
Oh, who knew?
We didn't have that when we went into it, and I think we're better prepared now to help him than we would have been otherwise.
Yes. Oh, I think that's a great way to put it.
Well,
Great
Pete,
way
thank
to
you
put
so
that.
much for coming on. It's been a joy to have you
Well, thank
and
you
learn
too.
about this program. Thanks for watching this first half. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with the second half as we look at ways of talking about opportunities for people with disabilities.
We are back with the second half of our show, and we are still talking about challenges and how to get past those things. And today we're with the Disability Action Center, and we have Teresa Evans and Pam Thomason, and they're going to talk to us a little bit more about what the Disability Action Center actually is and what you guys do. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. So what is it? I've never heard of this before.
Neither have I.
Disability Action Center. What is it and what do you do?
Disability Action Center started in 1980 as Independent Living Services of Northern California.
Okay.
Its goal to help people with disabilities.
And what would be considered a disability in your mind?
It can be any form of disability, mental, physical, cognitive, social. There's all forms. We're all inclusive and all ages.
All ages. That's
What
huge.
age range do you help?
Our youngest consumer is 3 months old, and our oldest is 108 years old. So it can be any age.
Wow.
What type of resources do you guys offer? Like what do each of you actually do? Let's start there. Tell us what you do and how you're part of the Disability Action Center, and then I want to hear from you too, Pam, to tell us what you do.
My main program is traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
Oh.
We help people living with traumatic brain injuries.
Which
We have-
probably occurred later in life, right? Like this is not something they were born with.
The youngest one that I know of that has a TBI is 3 months old,
Okay.
and the participants in the program range from childhood to senior, and all in between. So it's
So if you fell or you were in a car accident and you had traumatic brain injury, what I'm asking is, it's not something that you have to be born with to receive services with the Disability Action Center.
no, it's not just something. You can get services if you were born with it,
Right.
but you don't have to. It's something you've acquired over the course of your life.
Right.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And what about? Oh, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I was just curious, like, what do most of your people, how do they get major brain injury? I mean, what would prompt them to need
Majority of folks that have a traumatic brain injury, it occurred from a fall.
Not a car accident.
Nope, the majority is from falls. So
Interesting.
it can be seniors that are from aging. It can be a child that might have fallen out of the bathtub, or off of horse, or an adult who has fallen off a horse. It can be from assaults, any closed head injury, blunt force object, or a fall, motorcycle accidents, motor vehicle accidents.
Wow.
Just never know when it's going to hit, but then once it does, your life changes forever, and that's where you guys come in.
Yes.
Right? Now, so Pam, what are you doing?
I do the Vision Resource Center, and I deal with seniors 55 and over who are losing their vision or going blind.
Oh.
And I try to do in-home assessments to make sure that they're safe and independent in their own home for as long as possible.
Wow.
And I do this by providing adaptive aids and advice, and setting them up with resources in the community. I have large print items like calendars, address books, writing tools. I have magnifying glasses, canes. I have talking items, talking watches, talking clocks, so if they can no longer see, to tell the time, because it's important when you don't know the time or the day.
Right.
Those are two really important factors. And then I provide proper lighting and go over safety issues in the home to prevent falls,
Right.
because falls are the #1 deterrent for seniors.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow.
And then I also set them up with resources. For instance, if they can't read, I have applications for a talking book library. And
Which is wonderful, by the way. My
Yes.
father-in-law used that for probably 5 years.
Absolutely.
And you could get any book, any current bestseller to a classic, and everything in between. And they send you cassettes. For him, he wanted a cassette tape.
Yeah.
And they send you the special recorder that's easy to operate even if you can't see very well.
that's it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's all free. It was the Library of Congress, isn't it? A Library of
Exactly,
Congress
through the Library
program.
of Congress in
Yeah, and that's the kind
Sacramento.
of resource you're directing
Right.
seniors to.
And then I also have applications for CTAP for telephones for the disabled that help.
Wow.
But
That's a lot.
the talking book library is a lifesaver for a lot of
Yeah.
seniors who
Yeah.
feel isolated, and it just opens things back up.
Way.
Well, you forget how much your vision is
Yes.
the importance of your vision.
Right.
I mean, I complain that I have to wear glasses, at my age, but you forget that really, if that were gone, all the things
right.
that it,
Right.
I get it when you have, I've never had allergies until this last year, and then I start getting allergies, and then it's hard to open my eyes, and I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like when you have eye issues. So how are you guys different from the other resource centers around?
We connect to all of them in the area, and in all the counties we serve, in Butte, Colusa, Glenn, Lassen, Modoc, Plumas, Siskiyou, Tama, and here in Shasta.
Wow.
Right.
So we have 9 counties that we are physically in. We go there, do outreach, we help people in all of our counties.
Wow.
And we also help them out of our offices in Chico and Redding.
Okay.
And we could do in-home visits, in-service visits, where we can go help them other places. And we can also do in-office visits. And we also have a lot of support groups that are ran out of our Chico office and our Redding office.
So how did it get started? Like, who started this, and how, because it's so all-encompassing. I've never heard of anything like this that's that encompassing, that's that welcoming, open to everyone. This is like any physical or anything.
And it sounds like you don't have to jump through a lot of hoops to get services.
Yeah.
No. We have a simple intake form that we go over with them, and it's very easy.
And when did this get started?
Well, Disability Action Center changed their, Independent Living Services of Northern California changed their name last year in April and became Disability Action Center, but we have been around since 1980.
That's what you said, in 1980. So long time. So you're really connected with all the other resources that the county provides and the
Absolutely.
nonprofits provide, and so you kind of are I'm trying to paraphrase here.
Yeah.
Are you kind of a wheelhouse, like to get everything started and put in the right
Yes.
direction, or?
If we can't find it, we recommend and refer, yes.
Yeah, we connect people.
Okay.
And
In
how
fact,
much,
we
how
make
much
phone
staff
call-
do you guys have?
We have a growing staff in Reading. We actually moved to a new building.
Oh.
We're over at 1600 West Street now, the old American Title building.
Oh, okay.
Some people recognize that immediately because the American Title was around since 1970s.
Yeah,
So they
on
were
West.
well established there. So
Are you by the jail?
we're across the street
Yeah.
from the jail.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have, and we're getting some new signs. We're so new there. We have to have some new signs, but people can walk in, they can call, they can check out our website. There's all kinds of ways to connect with us, and if we cannot connect them to a service that we have, we can connect them to someone in their
Like
county.
Far Northern or one of these others.
And we work with Far Northern, we work with Cascade, we work with the county, the city.
Now, are you
There's multi-network that we connect people to.
the situation with the homeless and the mental health and all of that? Is that something that's under? Is that part of what you're like would be in the conversation on?
Yes.
We have a housing specialist who meets with folks and helps them find housing. She has a weekly rental listing for people with disabilities to find low-income housing.
Wow.
She can help with applications. There's lots of things that she can help
That's
with.
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And we have assistive technology, so a device lending library. So if with the rising cost of medical costs,
Yes.
people can come in and borrow an item.
Oh, that's nice.
For
So if
temporary
they need a
or permanent,
walker
see if
while
it
they're
works.
in rehab, they could use the walker from you guys rather than having to purchase one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you mean. Okay. And then, so how do you get funded? Like, where does your because this sounds like the service is free.
Yes, it is.
It's just,
Oh my gosh. So how do you get funded from that? Like,
We have federal and state grants,
okay.
and we also do annual fundraisers. And out of our Chico office, they've been doing a Pirate Palooza for 10 years. It's a fun party with a really nice dinner, dancing, costumes, because you dress up as a pirate. They've been doing it for 10 years. Here in Reading, we started doing a spotlight gala, and it's spotlighting people with disabilities. And last year we had artistic endeavors, and We Care a Lot put on an art display on each side. We had a super nice dinner at the Gaia, silent auction and raffles, and we had people, comedians with disabilities come out and do a show. It was just a lot of fun.
that
It
would
was
be
excellent.
fun.
It was really nice.
Wow. And so how are you marketing your services?
We do not have any funding for advertising, so it's word of mouth or the connections we make in our communities.
Wow.
And
Or coming on shows like The Forum.
We're at every health fair that they have.
You are, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Disability Action Center, do you have a website?
yes, if you just put in the top line of any search engine, Action Center, ACTIONCTR.org, you will find us.
Oh, great.
Okay,
You
that's
don't even
easy
have to
know.
do HTTP or www. You can just do Action Center and you'll find us.
actioncenter.org.
Action
Okay.
Center. Yeah.
That's great. You guys are doing some really impressive things. I am really stunned to hear.
How do we not know about this?
I know.
Like you hear
You
about
know,
the
I
other
hear
ones
that
all
a
the time.
lot. I hear
Yeah.
that when I go into the homes and the seniors say, "Why haven't I heard about you?"
Right.
And we're doing the best we can to get the word out,
Yeah.
but it's still hard.
But you have your partners, and those people refer
Yes.
people in, correct? Okay, so you all kind of, it's a collaboration type of,
Yes.
okay, that's good to know at least, because
It's
sometimes if they
huge.
hear about Far Northern or they hear about some of the more popular places, at least we know that they're getting to you eventually.
Right, right. Well, and I like that you're so inclusive, and it's a very low bar to come in.
Yeah.
So at least come in and have the conversation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if you think you might be in need of, I mean, sometimes people are like, oh, this is no big deal, and they poo-poo it, not realizing there's help that could really
Right.
make a big difference for
Or
them.
even realizing that they are disabled.
Right, right.
I mean, that's the thing. Like when you talk about this post-traumatic brain injury or any of those types of things, you know, missing a limb, you don't, you know.
Right.
not think of
Yeah,
themselves.
like even like somebody, we were talking before the camera, someone loses a limb through some health crisis, they can come in and learn more about that. This has been fascinating. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank you for getting the word out, and thank you for watching. We've had another exciting show here on the forum. Please come back next time. We'll look forward to seeing you then.